Alright, so welcome to the Diva-logues show. As promised, I'm here to talk R&B Divas LA. Remember that you can follow me on Twitter at Diva-logues, on Tumblr, and right here on YouTube. We're going to spell that J-O via the Victor, O-N-L-A-C-H-E-Y. So, R&B Divas LA, episode 2. This one was called Diva-logues. So I just want to start off by saying that I really like this theme song. This theme song is really catchy. Sounds a little up to date, late 90s, early 2000s, but you know, with a 2013 spin to it. And then Chanté Moore and Little Mo's voices, they really shine on this theme song, particularly those two. But something special about Little Mo's voice on this theme song in particular, it sounds so childlike and innocent and angelic, and I really appreciate that. I mean this in a good way. She sounds like a, like a 12-year-old, 13-year-old boy. You know, when the little boy is little and they can really sing. I mean, like, this little boy can blow it up, but then he gets older and his voice changes. But she seems like her voice is still there, so flexible and nimble, like a little 12-year-old boy. So the episode kicks off with Kelly and Chanté. They meet at her house. So Kelly is thanking her for coming to the open mic, for coming in and tearing the place up. So then Chanté says that her birthday is coming up. So of course Kelly volunteers to have a birthday dinner at her house. So she going to invite all the other divas to come over to her place. So then it cuts to Chanté, not Chanté, but Claudette and Little Mo meeting up. So Little Mo is actually at Claudette's house, and we actually get an opportunity to meet both of their children. I mean, they have some adorable children there. I believe Claudette has 3 children, and I lost count of how many that Little Mo has, but that's alright. She's able to take care of all those kids. But Claudette is here. She's talking about balancing out her new life in Los Angeles as being a single mom and still trying to be a relevant recording artist. So she's trying to figure out the balance between the two, and it seems like she keeps talking about her resources. It seems like her resources may be a little limited and they may not be as long as they were in years past, but she's trying her best with what she currently has. So Little Mo, she kind of sees herself as this person that people can talk to, or maybe she's just being nosy, I don't know, but she feels like she's someone that people can confide in and talk to. So Claudette is opening up to her, telling her, what's going on and how she's trying to adjust to life here in Los Angeles. So now it goes back to Kelly's house, and it's time for Chanté's actual birthday dinner. I mean, the food looked absolutely delicious. Kelly and Claudette looked like they were actually in the kitchen cooking the food, and they looked like they know what they were doing. I mean, Kelly did it up. She did it nice. It was all types of seafood there, because that seems to be what Chanté's favorite meal is. There was lobster, there were crabs, there were, those huge shrimps with the heads still on them. Looked like they had crab cakes and salmon cakes, and just all types of seafood that, people would like. So again, the food did look really good. They did a good job of prepping the food. So as Chanté walks into the house, the ladies start singing happy birthday to her. They're not singing it in the traditional fashion. They're singing it in this new jazzy rendition. And Claudette, she leads it off at the command of the leader, Kelly Price. And again, they do a really good job with singing the song. So now Kelly, she uses this as an opportunity right now to bless the food. And in addition to blessing the food, she sees this as an opportunity to now talk about this big old secret project that she's been building up to since last episode. So her idea is for a vagina monologues type of production where all 6 other R&B divas can become involved in, and they can share their life experiences through the songs that they have recorded. So she wants to take those songs and walk people through their life story. But Kelly tells them, look, you all agreed to do this. My vision is that, you all really expose yourself, and then they were going to have to become spiritually naked in front of the audience once this thing comes to fruition. So Kelly uses this term, spiritually naked, I mean, Kelly is the old Church of God in Christ, aka Kojic girl, so she knows all of these terminologies, and I'm quite sure she was definitely rooted and grounded in her Kojic and her Christian beliefs. So I won't be shocked if she keeps using a lot of these terminologies like spiritually grounded, obedience, devotion, and all these things throughout the season. And I believe she'll probably use that as a mechanism for control to some aspect for the other R&B divas. So again, they compare this project to an up-to-date vagina monologue. So then they go off on a tangent. Then they start talking about their own vaginas. And Chanté said, look, y'all need to be responsible for your own vagina, and y'all need to unplug the vaginas there. So that was the laugh at the table, and they started singing little songs about their vaginas or whatever. But then the conversation turns serious at this point. So Chanté, she reveals at the table that she lost her virginity at 17 years old, and that first time experience of her having sex, that she really felt like that it was taken from her. So you kind of saw her mood change, you saw her expressions change, and you know, that laughing and all of that stopped because the conversation had turned serious, and she was getting flashbacks, I'm assuming, of her very first time. I mean, it probably wasn't like that Betty Wright song when you go back and you remember your very, very first time. Everybody remembers their first time, and to that point, Little Mo, she then starts talking about her very first time and how she thought it was going to be this romantic thing, it was going to be music and candlelights and everything. So she said that her first time was the exact opposite. It was rough, the guy really didn't have any emotions, any feelings with it, and then when it was over, she was disappointed. And then she was even more disappointed when the guy told her, oh, you don't have to worry about it because I'm not going to want any more of this. I mean, I know all of us can remember back to our first time. Some of you out there probably should not have had your first time already. But for those of us who have, I'm quite sure you can remember back to it. That's one experience that you will never ever forget. And that's that one experience that's going to bind you to that person. I mean, until the day that the both of you actually die. You will never forget that time. Like, you may have had other times, and some people might not remember who they laid down with. But that first person, you're going to remember whether it was good, whether it was bad, whether it was indifferent. You're going to remember every single thing about it. I mean, hopefully it was a good experience, but it seems like that for Chanté and for Little Mo, that wasn't the case. So it looks like the working title of this Vagina Monologues type project is going to be called the Monologues, and they came up with that after they came out of this serious conversation. And Kelly seems to agree with Chanté that it should be called the Monologues. So then, you know, they lighten up the mood a little bit, and Chanté tells the ladies that she's going to be taping a video at her church, and that she wants to invite them to this actual taping. So that happens a little later on in the show, and Chanté really appreciated the dinner that Kelly had thrown for her. So then we get an opportunity to meet Little Mo's husband. So we got a chance to meet her kids a little earlier in the show. Now we get to actually meet her husband, Phil, who doubles as her manager. And they're talking about, again, what Little Mo plans to do in order to get her career to the next level. They're talking about the reasons why they moved out to LA. And they moved out to LA because they feel that LA offers a little more opportunities in regards to her getting work and, you know, getting to work on projects and meeting the best producers, and she doesn't have to travel far or bring these people in to do it, that she's right there in LA and she has everything there. But then she's saying there's going to be a conflict with her because she's been used to being a stay-at-home mom who just happens to sing back in Baltimore for the last almost decade, and she says it's going to take her some time to actually adjust to that, so she's looking for a nanny. So in her quest for a nanny, she's finding out that nannies don't come cheap out there in LA, that a nanny is going to be at least $1,000 a week, and she's saying that's a little much for her right now. So we'll see how that's going to play out for her throughout the rest of the season here. And then she also goes on to say that she just don't want to be that stay-at-home mom who happens to sing, but she actually wants to be taken seriously as a true musician. So then this episode we also get an opportunity to meet Claudette's ex-husband, Ryan Toby, from City High. A lot of you will remember him also from Sister Act 2 as the little boy with that real high voice that was singing Oh Happy Day. I mean, he still looks pretty much the same. He really hasn't aged too much from Sister Act days and then from his time in City High, so I definitely had to give that to him. So Ryan, he seems like that he's interested in working with Claudette on a professional basis, so he invited her to come to the studio to actually record the song, but then he calls her back and tell her that somebody else has purchased the song, they paid the money that he was looking for the song, so they need to try to work on something else. So Claudette is going in and she's, you know, talking about their past experiences and how meeting with him right now is a little awkward because she felt like that he abandoned her and that he abandoned the kids and that he kind of abandoned his parental role when it came to the kids, and she felt like that she was kind of alone. So he goes on and he says that he still loves her, that she still loves him, and she says that she has love for him but that she's not in love with him. I say look out for this to be a storyline throughout the season as well. If TV1 or the producers of this show or Smart, they will use this as a storyline throughout the season and possibly carry this on until next season, so that could be something to talk about for season 2 here. So this must be the night of meeting the ex-husbands or the husbands or the current boyfriends or the current love interests. So guess who shows up? Kadeem Hardison, aka Dwayne Wade from A Different World. He shows up and he's meeting with Chanté, who happens to be his ex-wife. So him and Chanté, they meet up for a lunch as well. And Chanté actually said that her marriage to Kadeem was her best marriage, and she thought that their relationship was a perfect relationship, but the only thing that kind of messed up their relationship was the fact that she was really into her Christian beliefs and that he was a free spirit. So that's the only conflict she saw in their marriage. But again, she thought it was a perfect relationship that they had, and I can kind of tell she wished that they had never broken up and that they were probably actually still together. I wouldn't be shocked if somewhere down the line if they got back together. I'm not sure if Kadeem is married right now or not, but we shall see throughout the rest of the season here. So the show goes on during a Michel'le. I got that typed down here as Michel'le. You know, you got to put that little apostrophe right there to remember that it's not Michel'le, that is Michel'le. But nonetheless, during a Michel'le, they meet up for pedicures and they're talking about Kelly's project and how they want to approach it. So then the conversation for them gets real as well. It turns to relationships, and Michel'le, she reveals that she's been single for quite some time and that, you know, she's not really looking right now for a relationship, that she's enjoying being a single person. So then Dawn, she says that she was married before. Now, I didn't know that she was married before, but she said that she was married to an abusive man, that this man used to whoop her ass, like that he used to choke her, he was physically abusive to her, he was emotionally abusive to her. And she said that she actually saw the signs of this man being abusive to her shortly after they got married, but she chose to ignore those signs and look the other way. And then it took her at least 15 times before she would actually fight this man back. Now, not only was he abusive to her, come to find out, he had 3 kids on her time. So he had 3 kids while they were married. So I'm like, I can't even envision something like that happening to somebody. So Michel'le, she goes on and she says the same thing happened to her, that in her previous relationships, now she didn't say any names, so I don't know if she was referring to Suge Knight or she was referring to Dr. Dre. But she said that one of her children's father actually had kids on her time as well. So one while she was pregnant, and then one shortly after she had the baby, then another one. So he had 3 kids on her time, and then that she was in an abusive relationship as well, and that she was beat, but she said that she fought back. So I must applaud this cast right here in this incarnation of R&B Divas, R&B Divas LA. They are really being real and opening themselves up here on this show, actually giving the viewer something to look at and not only be entertained, but something to be relatable to, because there's a lot of women that's going to be looking at R&B Divas LA, and that's their situation in the past, or that may be their present situation. Then there'll be some women in the future who will face these particular situations, and they can look back at this and they'll have something to relate to and hear what these women say and how they got out of their abusive relationship. So again, much props and shout outs to this particular cast for, you know, keeping it real. So they keeping it real, keeping it really, really real. So then it gets even more real with Chanté. So Chanté, she meets with her business manager, whose name is Michel'le. She meets with her at a bar, and she obviously has something weighing heavily on her. So she meets with Michel'le, and she tells Michel'le that her ex-husband, number 2 or number 3, again, we don't know, but Kenny Lattimore, that's who we know who she was talking about, that he's actually filing for full custody of the child, of their son, Kenny Jr., that they have together. So Chanté, obviously, she's upset about this. So Kenny is saying that Chanté is a bad mother and that their son actually performs better in school when he's with him at his house. So Chanté like, damn, what was going on here? Like, he's never at home, so why is he trying to file for custody? And she knows she's a good mother, so she feels some type of way that Kenny is filing for divorce and that he's saying these things about her. So this is going to be a storyline probably as well. I'm curious to see if Kenny is actually going to make an appearance on the show. I don't know what his intentions are with the show. So that goes on, and then Chanté goes and she meets up with Claudette. So she's telling Claudette about, you know, what happened with Kenny, and that she doesn't feel that she may be up to doing this performance or shooting this video at the church that she invited all of the ladies to. So Claudette tells her, look, just go ahead, channel all of this frustration into your actual performance and feel it, and, you know, deliver the best performance that you can give. So she takes her advice, and then they go on with that. Now, this video that Chanté was shooting, it actually turns out to be a live performance, and they were just going to shoot the video as a live performance at her church, and it's part of a play that her pastor was doing. I believe the play was called More Than Just His Wife, so it's a part of that. So Chanté is only going to get one take to do this, so she actually got kind of nervous when the time came for her to actually shoot this live performance. So she got to do it in one good time. So the song that she ends up singing at the church was called Jesus, I Want You. So obviously, not obviously, but Chanté, she got up there, she sang the song, and she slayed as she usually does. And, you know, you can definitely feel that she was into the lyrics, that she was into the moment, and that she really felt this song, and she kind of poured her heart out into the song. I mean, she always slays vocally, but the dress that she had on was slaying it too. I mean, she was giving all types of cleavage. I mean, the breast was on full display with the full split right here in the middle, and the breast exposed on both sides. So she got up in the church and still sung the song. I mean, looking gorgeous with her titties all out and everything. So the episode ends with Chanté feeling like that her life is in transition, and that is kind of the segue into next week's episode. Chanté sums it up saying that her life is her music. She said you can pick up any of her albums, and if you listen to that particular album, that's where she was at that time in her life. So that's going to be her contribution to these monologues that Kelly is going to be doing. Next week's episode is going to be episode 3. They're going to be in Las Vegas, and I'll be back right here to review that episode as well. Remember that you can follow me on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Tumblr at JovonLachey, JovonLachey. Until next time, I'm your boy Jovan Lachey. Thank you.